the same thing that we talked about in the last series, right? Most wanted. Obvious ones, they're going to be the ones at the disadvantage going up against Rogue. They're on their map pick first. Infamy now on their map pick first. Have to win on Coastline to have a chance in this series. It's going to be difficult for them if they lose on Coastline to go on to Clubhouse against Continuum and get that win. And then even more importantly, Cafe, again, a map that Continuum is historically, if you look really far back, have been proficient at. So Infamy got a lot of pressure on their shoulders right here just to start things off.
Upstairs will be where Infamy goes. And this is something that we've seen very interestingly on on Coastline. I'm getting my maps mixed up, looking ahead a little bit too far to map number 2.
It's okay.
Is that teams will like to pull out different sites on Coastline right away. We've seen a number of teams will start downstairs, Sunrise and Blue Bar, unsurprisingly being a first site. Sometimes we'll see them go kitchen. This is not really outside of the ordinary. I think last season, with the emergence of this as a map, the preferred site was upstairs in the bedroom. But at the same time, it's old hat, and I like that Infamy is doing that because they're not going to leave much to chance. And I think when these teams are, I think these teams are actually quite evenly matched, despite what we saw last time they played each other. I think that Infamy has learned an awful lot, especially in their matchups against Era and Rogue, and now they'll bring it to CTM. So with them this evenly matched, if you're Infamy, you can take chances to try to catch CTM off guard, but you can't take too many, because if you gamble and you lose, this is a team that will punish you for it right away.
Yeah, and speaking of gambling and losing, NVK going to be taken out outside the front door. BC going to get the quick refrag, though, and NVK is only downed. He hasn't been finished off. Vertical not even going to... Wow, actually, he is going to attempt it, and as a result, he will be punished. Canadian coming from the bathroom. Going to get the second kill of this round, and already Continuum looking extremely strong at the very beginning of this map. Not a lot of fight being put up by Infamy so far, and... yeah, just to touch quickly on what you were talking about earlier with this, with Infamy, I would really tie them in with Most Wanted as being teams that have, I would say, between Most Wanted and Infamy, they have two of the most accelerated growth of any teams in Pro League I have ever seen. They have come from the last season being kind of like not really all that competitive on the grand scheme to being, well, now Infamy qualifying for LAN and Most Wanted putting up a fight every step of the way, and it's really an awesome story to see from both of them throughout this season. And there you go. BC going to get the third kill of this round, and Continuum as a whole on a Neptunes with a great grenade. I mean, BC, of course, being the guy who got that ace as Buck on Clubhouse, or excuse me, on Coastline last time we saw him here, I believe. Easily. Shotgun kill onto Young, and a little bit of fight back from Infamy.
And there was a wonderful shot onto the Blackbeard. Now, if you remember, on this site in particular, what is Beasley doing? He'll take one, but BC finishes him off. A flurry as Infamy losing round 1, CTM up 1-0. And I was going to say, I don't know what he was doing with the sledge there, but the ragdoll of Valkyrie flying into the hallway. On that site, the key focus and the cornerstone of that attack is Young perched on that window, guarding into the bedroom. How many times can you see that? And what happens? Infamy fights back and just slaps him right off the window.
Yeah, and it's funny because it also, despite that, it just was so dominant for Continuum. And it really comes down to the contention of the roamers. They were being so aggressive and not getting anything done. They downed NVK, and that's all that can be said about that roam. Continuum very efficient on their droning game, allowing Canadian to position himself inside a bathroom so early on into the round, and then he was there to receive the aggression from that Jaeger down the main lobby stairs. I don't know. It was just great positioning from Continuum, great timing from Continuum, and poor both of those from Infamy on that round. I really just would have liked to seen Infamy. We're talking about a projector master hold here. It's, I would say, probably for most teams the #1 bomb site to defend. You just anchor, just anchor. Play it safe the first round at least, Try to be a little bit more cautious. But unfortunately, that wasn't their plan.
Most of the times, the most important aspect. Oh, and Canadian actually looking for an early peak. One of the biggest focuses of this site is not losing control underneath the master bedroom. because of the fact that almost the entirety of that floor and ceiling is fully destructible. We saw it with BC. We saw it employed very well by Secretly from Snook and Nose,
that's who
who
it was.
I honestly
Excuse me.
believe Secretly from Snook
Yeah.
and Nose was a wonderful person to watch if you are a Buck main because of his ability, like a very nice can opener, to be able to open that sight up and pressure from below. And I think we see BC doing the same thing here as well. So the moment that you lose control underneath the sight, you are in a lot of trouble, especially when you do the dual-pronged attack that Continuum does when you have Young at the window itself. So
And this not much aggression coming out from inf.amy early on this round. They're just looking for a roam clear potential. They are going to be droning out the aquatic area. And you could see Continuum being extremely passive. This is the caution I was talking about that I wanted to see from inf.amy on their defense, where there isn't really much of anything coming out from Continuum. They're just waiting patiently. They have a little bit of a roam game downstairs. I believe that's in NVK, but other than that, just holding on the bomb site. Young going to be able to deny at least one of those Hibana charges. That's a good start.
they'll work in as Young still down. C4 goes out, and some airmail for Vandal as say goodbye to the Glaz inside of VIP, and down he goes. Continuum looking to keep their stronghold at the moment with just over a minute left in round 2.
So Continuum just putting up a bunch of walls, and inf.amy unfortunately walking into one of them from below with that MPK C4. And this is just a very standardized hold from Continuum. There's not much deviation from the norm here, and it's working out great for them as inf.amy has not been able to clear out the roam downstairs or put any serious pressure onto the VIP wall. Young gonna get another kill, well, his first at least, onto Neptunes, and that's a good 5 versus 3 now for inf.amy. Or for Continuum, excuse me.
You've got to think it's a mistake not running a buck and using your Ash upstairs. You can see here, they will manage to open up the wall inside of Projector, and Necrox is going to fight right back from the theater, and down goes Vertical. CTM making this defense look routine as the dual SAS operators of Easily and Beastly remain for inf.amy. That's it, and they've got 10 seconds to get in sight. Neither have that diffuser. As you can see, Necrox picks off Easily, and will we see a near flawless round? Not near, but flawless. Canadian gets the final kill, and inf.amy looking in rough shape to start off with. CTM looking ready. 2-0.
Yeah, I would say routine is a good word to use to describe that, or basic, or just it really didn't deviate at all from the norm of, hey, run roamer underneath VIP with the C4, and then everybody kind of just anchor nice and safe and snug, and then we do go for late roams. We don't have to force it out in the early round, and that really caught inf.amy off guard. You could tell there they were trying to clear out roamers on the top floor, of which there were none for the majority of that round. They didn't apply any necessary pressure down into the kitchen, which meant MVK was on a free roam. He didn't have to think about much at all. And then after that, once they lost somebody to MVK, they're, oh darn, you know, we need to start applying that pressure downstairs, but it was too little too late, and Continuum had already established not only a man advantage but a time advantage, and from there the inf.amy attack kind of just sort of split up into splinters and kind of evaporated almost.
Yeah, and I think two key mistakes that inf.amy made there. Number one, they applied zero pressure from below the site, and number two, the way that they used the Glaz I think could have been more beneficial, as you see a lot of the Glazes outside on that terrace to the right of your screen, right there. You can see a lot of times Glaz will set up there and be able to look inside, right there. Well, a little bit farther down. But right there, you'll see Glaz would sit there, either or,
They both
be able to look through that window. Apply pressure very similar to the way that a Blackbeard does, hanging at that window, which is that it denies any opportunity for the defenders to cross past that window without fear of getting picked apart. You can see there have been strats that involve a Ying, either on the bathroom hatch or on that window as well, in order to choke that off, countered most exclusively by a Pulsar or Valkyrie below using a C4. Neither of those things happened for inf.amy, and unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize on any weaknesses that CTM had in their defense. And right now, you're going to see if inf.amy is going to be sharper on defense now as CTM begins their assault, and spearheaded, first and foremost, by a Capitao of Canadian.
Yeah, and there is a lot more smoke potential on the Continuum side of things this attack. which means that they're likely to, I'm guessing, just put up a simple wall of smoke, use their glass to win the engagements on those peeking the mirror windows, and go for a basic plant behind the B bomb site. There isn't much in the wings for from 1nfamy to actually stop that. They do have the smokes, but they don't have C4 from below, at least not right this second, and they don't have an echo drone, no yokai. So as Young opens up the main wall into the bomb site, they are going to have a crossfire established between the bathroom, and here come these Capital bolts to deny any visibility for 1nfamy, and then the fire bolts to deny any rotation. They have full control over the bomb site. A simple plant can be going down next to the master bed, arguably in the open, but it actually is going to be rotated back a little bit further. That's a very smart play there.
That was a good read by 1nfamy. Great job there. And now CTM unable to capitalize on this. The smoke of easily doing work, but the diffuser will go off. A rare diffuser planted with all 10 operators still upright. And you can see 1nfamy is going to have a mighty amount of difficulty getting back onto site. The roam game, not in the greatest of places right now. Necrox and NVK start off the killing as down go Easily and Neptunes, and Canadian adds to it with Vertical falling off the charts. And it's Beastly needing to come in. No, a kill from Vandal, but still 4 members of CTM remain, as he's going to need to not just get on site, but also manage to knock that diffuser. You see he gets close. He'll take down a second in Necrox, but loses a lot of his life in the meantime. He tries to go in, but Young denies him through the door, and CTM already off to a 3-0 lead.
What an aggressive and confident round from Continuum just now. Very simple establish of the control there. They had VIP, no pressure from below. The C4 missing, unfortunately. I believe that was from Kitchen. And then once the wall was open, they laid down the smoke, walked in, and planted. That's it. That's all she wrote. The lack of a yokai drone on the defensive side meant that they weren't gathering enough information, nor could they directly delay that defused plant. The gas grenade or gas canisters were completely off their marks. And again, that C4 just missing is so important. It's often been, I think, one of the most influential things when it comes to defending that master projector is where does is your C4 actually useful in delaying or denying the defuse plant outright. We are going to be seeing a kitchen hold now on this secondary bomb site from Continuum, and this has been a little bit more of a, I think, okay, the secondary bomb site is very much debatable. From region to team, just in general, it's an odd thing. No one really knows. It's sometimes you'll see double bar, sometimes you'll see billiards, sometimes you'll see kitchen. In this instance, Continuum, and I think the North American region in general favoring that kitchen. Also, we saw it a little bit in Latin America as well.
Europe really likes the Sunrise Blue Bar.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've noticed as well. But kitchen does get some play. The one thing that I have noticed was that usually you saw a lot of hookah and aquarium, or hookah and billiards as like the two, as the secondary site. Not so much anymore. In ranked a lot. We saw it last season too. This season, it seems to be straying away from that. A lot of teams only playing that in, I think, an act of desperation, which has been a change noticed over the last couple weeks of play.
Yeah, initially when Coastline came out, initially when Coastline came out, nobody knew what was going on, but billiards was actually the primary bomb site. Master was rarely defended at all, and I think it was just because it was the one bomb site that sort of stands apart from all the others. It's all the way over on the east side in Kitchen, while yes, on the east side technically is, I guess, primarily focused north. And people were like, yeah, it just doesn't seem like the bomb site we would defend. But eventually the meta started to shift over to Master Projector, and now that's the primary bomb site, and billiards is seen as, I think, the least likely to be defended commonly in Pro League. Young, first kill the round onto Easily. Through the mirror window, it would see, or no, actually through the floor, maybe. Oh, the drop down. Wow, a nice angle there through the wall and the drop down, both to get that early kill onto the Thatcher. I don't think Easily was expecting that when he rotated between Projector and Master.
It's one of those deaths that just really gotta frustrate you.
Exactly, yeah.
One of those things where you're like, what? Where did I die from? Oh, okay,
yeah.
I get it. And that is, look at that angle that Young is holding. That's a good shot. And one of the things, too, about Coastline that I really appreciate is because it is a very new map, Beastly is going to get a kill on Young from above, and now they're going to be able to get control of Bathroom and take it away from them as well with that mirror going down. One of the things that I just want to add to, oh, what a rush there from Canadian, who looks the wrong way, and Vertical punishes him on the Cool Vibes stairs as he picks up a second as down goes Necrox. So now 1nfamy holds a wonderful lead for the first time in Coastline. up 4v2.
And yeah, I got to be honest about that. That is just aggression from Continuum not paying off, but it is going to this time as MVK takes out Vertical, tries to even out just a little bit of the score line. But yeah, that was a lot of aggression from Continuum, not only in those two, in Necrox and Canadian peeking aggressively onto Vertical, but also Young aggressively on to Beastly, not really having success. What a shot there from BC onto Vandal through the smoke, but the defuse plant still going down. Beastly progressing in through the bathroom will finish off BC, and there's the defuse plant. MVK, the last defender left alive in a 1 versus 2. He knows where each of these attackers are. Obviously, Neptune's has to be outside the door. Beastly has to be inside bathroom, so he's got work to do, but the information to do it with.
And this is one of the sites that it's so difficult with that doorway there to be able to try to get through. Beastly inside a bathroom. He'll get marked by the drone, and you can see they'll pick away at him. Beastly with the SMG-11 tries to do some damage. He's going to have to try to push outside, but he has the sledge right through that wall. He sees the feed, and NVK makes that look easy. Neptune's last one left. Is he going to prevail? Neptune's with a great shot, and 1nfamy on the board. 1-3 for 1nfamy at the moment, but Continuum still holding the lead.
A nice try there from MVK, but just not enough. And you got to say, again, that aggression from Continuum. I mean, it was really working out for Rogue in the previous match that we just witnessed, but in this instance, it just didn't pay off. Obviously, it's still 3-1. Continuum very dominant on Coastline. You really have to hand it to them. They're not putting out a lot of, they're not making a lot of mistakes in this match.
No, that is very correct. And it's one thing right now where 1nfamy has to keep that going, and we've seen some really good plays for them so far. Beastly has looked especially good. The one big thing for me now is you can see a change there for them. They are going to go to another bomb site, even though they don't need to. They're going to roll the die going downstairs into kitchen, and they're going to see if it works any better than they fared upstairs. Now, alongside that, they'll bring an Echo with them, which is something that they were deprived of and desperately needed in previous rounds on defense. So now we'll see if it fares any better for them. And I'm interested to see the strategy that they roll out, likely centering around a Mira Castle play. Likely have your Mira hold up in kitchen, castled off, very similar to what we saw from CTM last round, and maybe have your Echo on site either in the bathroom or in that supply room as well with the yokai around. But no, they'll hole up upstairs, which is important, because if you can keep control of upstairs, then they only really are 2 ways into that bomb site.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of pressure being put onto the Continuum clear, in that they have to apply a lot more focus now to the top floor because of Easily on that mirror window. I mean, Easily could see what I did there? He could hold up an entire 3-man squad at the most, I would say, by himself. And he has plenty of his teammates in good positions to support him. Like, for example, Vertical on that main lobby staircase, who's just putting fire down onto Young. However, Neptune's has been seen put down to 1 HP, so he's going to have to be reset now at 50. So that's at least some HP off the board for 1nfamy, and that's not going to be feeling great. Continuum, meanwhile, have cleared out, for the most part, the west side of this top floor, which means they're going to have at least a small beachhead to start working their way over towards the west side. Or, excuse me, the east side.
Expecting somebody on stairs or nearby, NVK tries to circle in. Now that Echo is going to be exposed if he stays on that yokai drone. And just around the corner, Young is able to take out Vertical before NVK can get in. A good grip of coordination as Canadian gets one on easily, but the bandit upstairs of Beastly eliminates Canadian. Now BC pierces in, and you still have that Echo upstairs as well, who has been picked apart earlier on. That leaves just Vandal and Neptunes.
We're seeing a lot of people get a little too aggressive there. I mean, especially Beastly in that instance. He had the mirror window still in his favor. He could have easily just waited patiently, but peeking aggressively onto BC's buck kind of handed away top floor control. And now, not only do CTM have the man advantage, and not only is Neptune lit, but also they have the time and control advantage. Everything in the attacker's favor right now. All they need to do is slowly clear. Neptune's, though, going to down MVK in the main hallway of the bottom floor before finishing him off. He also will not be refragged, which means it's getting a little bit more even, and CTM stacking up on this door. Another kill from Neptune's. That's not supposed to happen. What is this attack strategy? Neptune's dodging Young's shots from the main door, but the nade from BC, excellent placement there, is going to finally finish off the lit Neptunes, and it's all down to Vandal in a 1 versus 2. BC Slowly peeking. Not going to commit to it. 23 seconds to go. He can at least fake this defuse plant, waiting for his teammate to get onto the window so they can have a good crossfire potential here as BC attempts the defuse plant. Vandal has the information from the Valkyrie camera, so he's going to know where BC's planning, but he also knows that Young's inside. He's going to get the kill into Young. Will he get the second one into BC? Vandal very lit, will lose the fight. BC, an excellent headshot and defuse plant in the corner. We'll put it now onto a 4-1 match point CTM.
I liked what Young did there at the window, and that's what I was talking about. If you give up control upstairs, you only have 2 entry points really into that site. Number one, through that little supply door by the front desk, and then the other right just outside of Sunrise Bar into Kitchen, which is where they had to make their push. They stacked up, they got a couple kills just simply by nature of the way that you have to funnel into that site. It's very easy for the defenders to get at least 1 or 2, which is what Infamy did. A good play by CTM, and I was expecting Infamy to win that round.
Right?
A bit heartbreaking that they didn't. But now we find ourselves on match point as CTM is going to move to defense where they have looked really good, except for 1 round. And we'll see if they can close this out here. BC, though, played so well last setup against Most Wanted, last matches against them, and continuing it right now. 1 death so far, and that was in the round that Infamy won.
Yeah, BC's been on fire so far this match. And, you know, we've talked about this before in the past. Continuum right now say that they have their dream roster. They say that these 5 players are the 5 players they have always wanted to have on this team. They say that they're more comfortable than they've ever been. And a lot of people, I think, can really get behind that statement now that you've seen play like this. BC, while not the newest person to this roster technically, he's got the least experience on this team overall because Young has been on the team before. He was one of the original founders. And BC has been showing Canadian early frag there on a vertical. Unfortunately, that's going to be the Ash from Infamy lost early on in the round, and that does not... And NVK, another kill onto Easily. Guys, could I just analyze your roster for a second? Nope, they say it's going to be a 5-on-2 with less than 30 seconds off this round. Continuum looking to push it to map number 2 very early on in this series, and gotta be honest, that's really bad for Infamy considering that this is their map pick.
Fortune favors the bold, and right now strongly favoring CTM as Infamy is going to have some serious work to do. Number one, you've lost your Twitch. That means those mirrors are going to probably be okay for the next 2 minutes and 10 seconds of this round. Number two, you've lost your Ash, which would be okay, but Infamy doesn't have a buck or really any vertical pressure. The Ash is the only person who can safely take out that barbed wire and open up alleys either above or across that you don't have anymore. So you're going to be left with the Sledge, whose verticality is very limited to what his hammer can hit, and then Hibana as well. Not that it spells complete disaster, because we just saw a map where they were at a 2v5 disadvantage and still prevailed in Rogue and Most Wanted. But now Neptune's going to run in. He gets the Ella of Canadian. Good. Makes the numbers a little closer, a little tighter, but still a lot of work to be done for Infamy. Elid as Neptunes tries to run in through red in that record hall, or the Hall of Fame rather. And just outside of VIP, you can see Blackbeard lays.
Yeah, you could see that Infamy, while they have managed to get that kill into Canadian, they still have so much work to do. However, Young is pretty exposed, sitting behind the dresser. If he gets thrown out, Vandal's got a very easy kill ahead of him, and that could even things out very easily into a 3-on-3 if a simple drone just spots out Young. That's all it takes. They are going to be privy to his position, and they are going to spray through the dresser. That's, oh no, Neptunes, miscommunication 101. BC's going to get that finish, and Vandal will finally take out Young, but the man advantage is still in favor of Continuum because of that mistimed sprint. Beastly challenging from the hallway, but unfortunately, as you can see, Vandal's not the one with the diffuser. It's on Beastly right now. And we see a Castle and Necrox coming from VIP behind. Everything's falling apart for Infamy. They don't have a lot of time. And the C4 from BC, I think this is it. As Necrox comes from behind, Trophy Hallway finishes off Vandal. That's all she wrote. The early man advantage being so against Infamy, there just was not enough in their wheelhouse to round out that round and bring it back at all. It was now 5-1. That is so dominant, especially on Coastline. This is supposed to be Infamy's map.
And BC putting up a very spooky performance. If you can take a look at that Mira skin, nice to show off the Halloween skins that Ubisoft have put in for us. 9 frags for BC and 1 death is an incredible performance there. And a commanding performance from Continuum as we'll take a look at the highlights and see exactly what happened in that round for both 1nfamy and CTM. And that was, as well, 1nfamy's pick. And they just lost 5-1. That is disheartening to say the least. Beastly looking like he was going to be able to win that one, but BC taking it away from him. And then right here, the Glaz pick. I know what they were trying to do. Not sure if it was as efficient as if they had to put him up on top of that structure outside and used him there to put some pressure on the window. And something that they finally did use. You saw 1nfamy was finally able to get that Blackbeard on the window in the very final round. But after already losing 2 attack operators, that doesn't really give you the opportunity to maneuver onto site when you're down that significant advantage.
Yeah, now, of course, we are going to be moving on to map number 2. Map number 2, Continuous pick. Clubhouse. This is going to be, I think, it's going to be really hard for 1nfamy to pull this one off. I mean, it's Clubhouse. Again, Clubhouse always favors the old teams, and Continuum is one of the older teams in this region. 1nfamy, of course, being kind of the new up-and-comers. They are going to be at the disadvantage here. So, oh God, what a shot from BC. So, after losing on their map, they now have even more pressure on their shoulders of going onto a map that they are clearly slotted to lose, I would say.
I mean, let's not take this away from 1nfamy. To the best of my knowledge, 1nfamy has played on Clubhouse twice. They played Era and they played Excellence. Well, technically both Era now, and they won, if I remember correctly. And I could be wrong on this, but they won on Clubhouse. So it's a map that we know that they have a lot of potential on, and this is a team that can surprise people. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see them do well. I can't remember if they played Rogue there last or 2 weeks ago, but regardless, we are loading in and we will take a look at a wider view of us before we now go into the actual game itself.
Yeah, the one thing that, of course, 1nfamy's got a history on Clubhouse, and yes, they're pretty good at it. The one thing that makes me think that Continuum's got to be feeling very confident here is simply the fact that they picked Clubhouse over Cafe. Cafe is a map that Continuum historically also are very comfortable on. So the fact that they want to go to Clubhouse instead, that is very telling to me. I mean, it could just be that they want to save some of what they've got on other maps, and they're just like, yeah, we'll go to Clubhouse, why not? I mean, but honestly, I don't think so. I mean, the last match you could argue for that, but the stakes in this match are oh so much higher. If you guys are not familiar, what's going on here? Isn't this just a seeding match? Well, yes, it is a seeding match for the finals. Both of these teams have already qualified. They will both be in Brazil. However, the winner of this match will qualify first out of the region, which means they will cinch a spot for the Invitational of this year. So the stakes are very much higher to sort of have throwaway maps, which means, yes, I think Continuum have got to have something spectacular up their sleeves on Clubhouse to show us.
I think another thing, too, is we've talked about this before, and I wouldn't be surprised if it gets talked about again over the Latin America and EU matches coming this week. There are maps that these teams have practiced that they have not shown yet and do not want to show.
Yep.
So let's say, for example, Cafe, or let's say not, for example, Cafe, but Continuum could have been banning Skyscraper all season. Maybe they don't want to play it, or maybe they have a strategy there that they don't want to show anybody, and because they keep banning it, teams will try to avoid banning it because they think, oh, hey, maybe that's one of their weaker maps, when in all reality, they are prepared and have a strategy that you can't find on a VOD. You can't counter-strat it because you haven't seen it yet.
There are many mind games that go on with the ban phase in Rainbow Six Siege, and I think a team like Continuum is they're the sort of guys who are they're going to ban maps that they very much want to have as a pocket strat moving forward. I mean, just as a one particular reference, Penta at the last final in Gamescom against Elevate, Clubhouse at that moment in time had not seen much play at all in the entire season and the previous one. It was kind of a shunned map. It had fallen out of favor. So when Penta came out on Clubhouse in that final, and they were absolutely dominant, they had so many interesting strategies that they had obviously preconceived, and it was clear that they intentionally forced that through the ban phase. Yeah, it became a case of, there's a lot of situations where you're going to have pocket stretch, and that was just one of them. Vertical going to get the first kill of the round on NVK as he aggresses to the main stairs. Interesting aggression there from NVK, and more interesting from Vertical, because holding in that main hallway is often seen as suicidal. In this instance, has put Continuum now in a very good spot. I said, excuse me, I Just these top, excuse me, the team names at the top are switched, ladies and gentlemen. Just to be clear, it is Continuum on attack and Infamy on defense. BC gonna get the second kill, and then Necrox, they're getting his own. It's now a 3-on-4 with some very nicely placed aggression into the construction tunnel. This is the same that we saw in the previous matchup. Young getting a kill of his own from Garage, and BC went on to easily. It's all Beastly now inside of Church. What is happening here for Infamy? Their team is falling apart at the seams as this collapse comes from Continuum.
End of the round as Beastly hold up inside of the bar in Church. Young has sights on him. The moment that Beastly reveals himself, it won't take long for that scar of Blackbeard to rip him apart. CTM has full sight control. Blackbeard not even necessary as Necrox is able to do the job himself by those containers inside of Armory. And look at that. Only 4 rounds away from CTM potentially guaranteeing their spot to the Invitationals to defend their crown. Of course, still the reigning world champions as they won last year.
Confused is a word I would use to describe that Infamy defense just now. They seem to be tripping over themselves on the hold. It was clear there that there was a lot of pressure coming from Continuum from each and every angle. They weren't just coming from one specific lane. Obviously, the pressure from the main stairs was stifled. However, it was this very easy pinch between Construction Tunnel and Blue. And unlike Most Wanted, Infamy did not put up a fight in that Construction Tunnel to try and stall out the pressure at all. So, unfortunate to see there from Infamy, but just some very aggressive play from Continuum is all it really took. And as you can see, Capcan, as well as reinforcements on the top floor, looks like we're going to see possibly a roam game, certainly some aggression upstairs.
Not a surprise to see Capcan used here, as this is number 1. There is an astonishing amount of doorways and windows on Clubhouse. Lots of opportunities for you to put down those Capcan traps. And as was said in the last matchup, Capcan also not just an operator that can deal significant amounts of damage. Of course, potential up to 300 damage with those 5 traps at 60 damage apiece. But the other thing too is that it works as a way to slow teams down and stick teams in the quicksand of Capcan's traps on those doorways. Number 1, it requires a lot more droning to determine exactly where they are. And then you need to actually deal with them. Sometimes it can be at your own hands. Sometimes you'll have a Twitch do it, a Thatcher, regardless. And you can see no Twitch being used from Infamy to take care of them. So, of course, a Thatcher is just what the doctor ordered.
That thermite charge being used on the pool table is actually going to be very bad for the Infamy attack. But it is wise by Infamy to actually use that utility. Despite it now going to stall out this attack somewhat, it does mean that they will have more than just the strip hallway to pressure NVK on his roam game. And as you can see here, that's just their goal right now. NVK, however, will simply fall back. Neptunes and Beastly, though. 2 swift kills on NVK and Young. That's the roam game being severely punished. A great collapse there from Infamy, really putting their best foot forward and showing that they are not dead in the water just yet.
It's a castle and the Capcan down as well. Now, of course, those are 2 operators whose gadgets persist. So, with that, the traps are still up as well as the castle barricades, so at least you've gotten your usage out of them. It's not as detrimental as, say, losing an operator like potentially a bandit if you're looking to bandit trick, or if you're looking at an echo or a smoke, or even a pulse. Now they'll try to take advantage of Kitchen, and interestingly enough, we talked a lot about how off-site operators don't always work out in Clubhouse, but Canadian upstairs using that heartbeat sensor.
He has not been droned. And Vertical is actually going to be on that drone inside of the cooler right now. So Canadian will, I think, have just been spotted out. Beastly going to sit on the angle and wait patiently. That's some good drone placement coming out from Infamy. And that is going to be a failed roam. Whoa, no! Actually, Canadian winning the fight against Beastly. What just happened? That is not what is supposed to happen in that situation. And Canadian going to fall back, likely going to drop through the garage as his teammates simply stall out this attack. But nope, Necrox peeking wide, easily going to win that fight.
And Vertical jumps in to add to it by taking BC down. Neptunes is down but not out. And now Canadian will have to try to deal with 2 separate angles. Will get pushed from behind, sees Neptunes, finishes him off, but hesitates. And Vandal pivots and gets the shot. And we are all tied up at 1 apiece. You got to think if Canadian had just turned and gotten the shot off on Vandal, a bit of patience, that could have been a totally different story, as Vandal also held that diffuser. Regardless, 1 apiece.
Yeah, and an excellent attack there from 1nfamy. Got to attribute a little bit, though, to the Continuum roam game. What was going on there? Unfortunately, they tried to fall back. It was too little too late, and they got punished. Good job on 1nfamy, though, to see that opportunity and really capitalize on it. Now, it is going to be 1-1. Both, interestingly, attack wins onto the basement of Clubhouse. So counter to the norm, and I like to see that. Continuum going to be bringing a Jackal to this next attack, which is kind of interesting. I guess they're just trying to streamline their roam clear and add to the smoke count, given that they've been using that Necrox inside of the tunnel.
You have a Buck, you have a Hibana. Number one, very little use of thermite so far. So you take a look at the composition at what they have. You factor in that Necrox will probably go through that dirt tunnel, that escape tunnel, and come in, and you have Jackal who can get some buck action from above. So let's say, for example, you take the Buck in the kitchen, you buck the floor out, you throw some smokes in from Jackal. Glaz can push up after he's used a couple of his smokes on the tunnel. You've now taken control of Armory and potentially Blue as well. And then you have Hibana to blow open the wall inside of Church.
And this seems to be their strategy for the most part. They've been kind of neglecting the Moto. I mean, the last time we saw them attack the basement, they just didn't go Moto. They ignored it, and that makes a lot of sense. It worked out on their strategy very well, considering they were primarily pressuring. They weren't using the kitchen drop per se. They were primarily pressuring just Blue and the actual construction tunnel. So despite the fact that they don't have a thermite and will not be able to open up all the drop downs and the construction tunnel, they might not even want to open up the Moto drop. Now, while they might not want to open the Moto drop, it will mean that the 1nfamy players won't have to think about it, which actually means a lot, because anyone who's holding Moto will just kind of fall off of it if it's not open. They don't have to apply that pressure to the attack. So that will free them up to look wherever the heck they damn well please, and that will mean that there will be more emphasis placed from the defenders onto the actual attack coming from Blue and Construction Tunnel.
One thing as well is that with that sidearm of Jackal, obviously not going to be as effective as a Skeleton Key, but can still open up small parts of destructible floors and walls, which, as you can see, BC is able to blow open that wall inside of Armory just through the main hallway, and will now look to go downstairs with a drone escort from Canadian, the team captain of CTM.
It's interesting to me that a lot of the teams we've been seeing on Clubhouse, specifically today, well, all of the teams, have been only placing one reinforcement on that Armory wall, and as a result, we're seeing a lot of teams prioritize focus on that Armory wall. If you can open it up and run from the main hallway stairs to inside of Armory, that's a great aggression lane. And if there's nothing in the line from the defenders to stop that, then it's going to be a tough hold. However, 1nfamy's placing a lot of emphasis on that, and I doubt it's actually going to happen very easily for Continuum at least. Another thing also, Continuum's not coming from the construction tunnel right now. They're completely ignoring it.
And you can see, I was going to say, where is the Glaz? There he is, Necrox spying vertical, tries to get a couple shots off. Instead of going through the tunnel, will now push in through the main stairs down into that basement. Young leads off the fragging by easily going down as vertical, finishes BC, and Young a second on the Neptunes. And that is the Buck down, but he's largely done his job. Vandal refrags on a Necrox. Your Smoke and your Legion are down for defense. You can see Vandal will get around the corner. Canadian, a good shot, hits the deck, and that is Vandal out of the equation. You can see there, Young gets pressured from Beastly, and because of that face shield, is able to endure, and now it's just the Ela of Vertical. Diffuser being worked on by Canadian, just inside a Church, and Vertical is going to need to try to escape, but very little methods to do so. He pushes through the wall to his right into the waiting arms of NVK, who somehow misses, and now Vertical will have to try to take control of Moto. But inside, both Canadian as well as Young perched and waiting. Young does get hit by the goo, and you can see Canadian playing around that bomb, does not miss that final shot. Down goes Vertical, and CTM up 2-1.
And basement win on attack. What is going on here? I'm surprised by the fact that neither of these teams have seemed to put up much of a fight at all on this basement hold. On that last round, there was a complete variation on the attack from Continuum. They came off of their typical Blue and construction tunnel push and opted to go instead for a very simple main stairs Moto push, which is weird. It was a main stairs Moto Armory wall push. There wasn't any other serious pressure being applied, and that's kind of just a one front attack. Usually those don't work, especially on a basement clubhouse take. It really leaves you open to the whims of the defenders. But Infamy playing a little bit too safe, I would have to say, especially over towards Armory. As a result, will not be able to win that round. I'm kind of surprised, though. I really am, especially considering that all of the Armory pressure from Continuum was completely cut off. They were not able to establish themselves inside of Armory at any point, which was the primary focus of their push.
Right. And it was good to see CTM readapt. And one thing, too, is that, of course, the pressure you need to apply to the back of A is very important. The only time we really see any kind of B takes or if you can push the defenders into Church itself and manage to take control. Of course, I don't know what Canadian was doing there, just taking care of the last drone, just in case, which is a smart move, but nonetheless. Now to offense, Infamy is going to go. And one thing that I liked very much that Infamy did last round was they denied CTM's push for the first minute and a half. Now, they stuck all their bodies on site. They didn't get cute, and they didn't run any risks of losing somebody early. You use your resources as best as you can. But while I'm touching on that, take a look at what is going on.
Yeah, and that hold right there when you said cute, those mirror windows on the church wall kind of make me think cute. I mean, it's a very dangerous game to be playing for Continuum. And, you know, you got to hand it to them. They've been playing the dangerous game all night tonight, and it's been working out great for them. But still, how many risks do you want to take, and when will it stop, and when will Infamy be able to capitalize on those risks?
Right, and I mean, it's a bit flagrant the way that they are doing that as well, in the sense that a team can easily take that and run with it. And you can lose momentum, but at the same time, they have not been able to capitalize yet.
And we have two players from Continuum inside the hallway. More risk coming out here. Will the reward see fruit? Nope, it will not. Neptune's, unfortunately for Continuum, going to dodge that C4. Great for Infamy, though. And now with time ticking away, Infamy has full control over that top floor. As per usual, they're going to start opening up the holes, establishing their lanes of aggression, and it's all going to come down to the coordination that they are able to put forth on their actual push into the bomb site.
Good coordination there as they almost team kill one another with a grenade. The second one from Beastly, though, does not miss. Down goes Jaeger. Ironic that Jaeger would die to a grenade, but nonetheless, 4 members of the defense left in a 5v4. Final minute here, and the attackers will need to stick the landing as they look to push into the basement. And of course, Infamy successful on their last attack, and no defensive team has been successful so far. You can see a smoke will go off from above to deny a push through that kitchen hatch. Infamy still largely has control upstairs, but will now need to try to get on. Canadian gets very, very aggressive, but gunned down by Vertical as Young, from inside of what we called the cute mirror strategy, is able to finish him off. 30 seconds.
The aggression in the hallway worked out great.
And there you go. Necrox gets a kill onto Easily through Dirt Tunnel. Wait, strange to have a push. That delayed, but the Thermite will go in from that direction. Now CTM is going to look to just try to guard all open sites inside. Vandal dropped right as Necrox looks away, and he's in the site, but Necrox had looked at the wrong time. NVK gets Beastly as Neptune's refrags onto Young. 2v2, and the defenders win as they stop the plant. And boy, CTM just manages to hold on. As you can see, they ran straight out of time.
That entire hold for Continuum was great, but it comes down mostly to Infamy trying to aggress onto that church wall in Moto and being, again, stopped by the cute mirror window strategy in the hallway. It worked out fantastic for them. The aggression, the 2 players in the hallway didn't really do all that much, but it distracted Infamy from the fact. And that's the important thing. Interesting strategy for Continuum. I'm surprised that it worked. It seems like Infamy are on a back foot right now. They had a lot of opportunities to establish the lead in a dominant fashion, and they just couldn't do it. A little disheartening to see. We are going to see a Capcan coming out from Neptune's. Not the first time we've seen him on this map so far. I don't think it'll be the last either. I think he's kind of he's finding this spot in the meta where he's the the sort of roamer in that he'll place all of his charges upstairs and hope that somebody steps into one or two of them. But I don't know if he's really promoting anything especially new other than, hey, you know, free a little bit of damage. Why not?
Like I said, I think a big component of it is how much time he takes away, too. And that's something that a number of pros and Challenger League players have touched upon in tweets and posts online and in comments, is that you only have a set amount of time per round. A strong game when you have off-site players and operators can already delay around half of it each time, quite easily, depending on how proficient you are at it. Add to the fact now that you have to check every single doorway or entryway into a certain objective because they can set them anywhere. Especially now that he's a two-speed operator, the mobility and maneuverability he has, he can get across the map with a lot more efficiency and ease. And that immediately slows down the push. But not to be slowed down at all, Canadian already well inside, doing laps and working on his step count as he is going to run and get all the cameras inside of Club.
Yeah, and Capcan's also the sort of operator I think that sees a lot of play when it's the discussion of, do we really need a Mira here? And the answer is no. And on a basement Clubhouse attack, or defense rather, no, you don't need a Mira. Not really. I mean, you could see some great use with Mira. Like for example, the Mira strat we just saw Continuum use on that main church wall. That was great use of Mira. But for the most part, she's not a staple of a Clubhouse basement hold, as she would be on many other sites.
Right.
You can see here that a very simple clear for Infamy. They have established control over the roam game, and it's going to be now a standardized push on into the basement. Now, what we need to see from Infamy in this instance, from Continuum in this instance, is a coordinated push. I'm curious to see if we're going to be. I'm curious to see, if it's going to be from the construction tunnel or if it's going to be just the main church wall, because those are the two variations we've seen from them so far.
And one of the things too that I am noticing more than anything is very simply the fact that we've had a lot of teams favoring that dirt tunnel, the escape tunnel, so much. That was typically not an area that we saw them push at all, or really not with as much frequency as we have seen so far. The lumbering Blackbeard of Young gets kill one on the vertical, the Ella. And now you can see he's going to go for another, or BC rather is going to go for another, but they are fighting with the, I guess you can say, the obstacles in the way. Canadian rotates in, gets tagged in, and that is an easy kill for him. And they're going to get the bomb down, or diffuser down rather. 1 minute. Young's second kill. Neptune's Canadian had stopped, goes for it again. Beastly takes BC down. Necrox refrags, and Canadian just keeps popping up. If he had stuck the landing that first time, Diffuser would have been down, but regardless, easily the lone man from Infamy left to hold up against the surging tides right now of Continuum. We'll have that Diffuser to work against as it hits a quarter of the way through. And he gets a kill, and Young, but Necrox can't follow up. Canadian can, and we are now on match point 4-1 as Continuum is 1 round away from going back to the Invitational and securing first overall from North America.
And they will be having to defend a bar to make their dreams come true in that fashion. So this could, and this is, by the way, the first bar hold we've seen on this map, so this could be Infamy's chance to start the comeback, but pressure's mounting. I mean, they got to win 3 rounds in a row to get overtime.
And only so far have been able to win 1 round in a previous matchup, too. It's going to be a daunting task, but I have complete faith that we can see them pull it out. It's just a matter of they need to be as successful as they have been on their previous attack. And now, of course, Continuum are probably going to be a little bit energized. So there might be some jitters, maybe not, but there might be some jitters that they can hopefully try to capitalize on. On that defense, what did you see? What went awry on that defense for Infamy last time?
Yeah, I just want to touch on that. It's really interesting because the attack from Continuum was so one-dimensional. It was just, let's attack through church wall. I mean, that's a basic strategy from Season 1, Season 2 of Rainbow Six, Year 1, way back. And it worked out great for Continuum. It was a good execution. It was pretty much flawless. They didn't make any serious mistakes. But usually, I mean, it's the sort of thing, again, that's been countered a long time ago from various teams. I think the reason it worked out so well for Continuum is because Infamy didn't have to deal with that old meta. They weren't around when that was what we were doing on Clubhouse. So they don't have that experience to draw from recognizing that old attack strategy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That could be it. It could just be that it was perfect execution from Continuum. Either which way about it, Infamy's hold for that church wall was just a little bit lackluster. There wasn't any serious resistance put up.
And just a mistake like that, you've got one member of the team spawning, and they're not able to take out that default cam. And that'll give Necrox an opportunity. You saw as a smoke ran outside and tried to get a kill on a vertical. And that is a worrisome. Number one, that's not how you use a smoke, of course. But leaving that default cam up is a significant issue.
Yeah, and then there's also Young playing inside of Garage with a melee hold, just waiting for his opportunity. He's actually going to fall off it. That's a smart play from Young. Don't need to give away any unnecessary kills to Infamy, who are playing exceedingly cautious. They are not even close to getting any serious aggression onto the bomb site, nor even the building. They're taking their time about this, and that's wise, considering it's match point. Young going to be the one to meet all of these drones on the garage hallway, just waiting for his opportunity to pounce on an unsuspecting attacker. Will simply fall back. Again, very wise from Young. I think if there's one trait... Wow, what a run out from Canadian. Actually going to, I think, hit one of the attackers there, but no kills.
Wish he had an ACOG. If only Bandit had an ACOG.
Yeah, it's too bad, you know? Even though, you know, he would have been... What the heck? Canadian going to miss the shot.
This is to me, this is just a show now of Infamy has not even been able to work their way into the building yet. We are at 1 minute. This has been a very slow, plodding round. And I think it speaks to the fact that Infamy is playing scared. They know what's going to happen. NVK is able to take out Neptunes. Necrox downs Beastly as Vertical answers back and gets Necrox himself. And only 3 members of Infamy left with 45 seconds. A disheartening round at the moment. As now you can see Vertical down by the kennels. The dogs bark in the background as he crawls to look for a friend to pick him up. Easily at half-life as well. NVK struggling to get inside a garage. The Shield of Vandal will break, but he still stays upright. Now NVK is going to look to try to cut them off at the pass through Garage as the Yokai of BC disorients the Blackbeard, and slow and steady will win this race. NVK takes down one. It's only easily left as Vertical now upright. Young answers, and it's all on Vertical. He'll go for one, but NVK lays in wait, finishes it off, and CTM is back. They will go to the Invitational, and they are your #1 seed heading into Sao Paulo as they take Clubhouse by a score of 5-1 in the series 10-2.
A nice fight put up there by Infamy, though. It was a good attempt. Unfortunately, just doesn't seem like they were ready to receive CTM's Clubhouse play nor Coastline play in this instance, as they were thwarted easily 5-1 on both maps. Although they did put up, again, but a big fight. Continuum, again, 2-0, very swift there. I think that that's telling of their performance throughout this season. It really isn't any big surprise to me. It reminds me a little bit also of the Rogue Most Wanted match that we watched just previously, which